Alright, so welcome back to Driveway. It's been a couple weeks since Ice Cream Cruise, and we got this thing back after 400 miles of driving, but there are a couple issues that we need to take care of, and then we can start planning for what we need to do in the future. So let's go take a look at a couple of the weird things and hopefully get a good idea of where we're going to go from here. Alright, so after his maiden voyage, it's pretty much just going through and seeing what is weird. One of the things that I did was pull out a spark plug here. And essentially, as you can see here, it's looking pretty darn clean. I kind of don't think we even got it up to temperature. So maybe what I'll do is throw some TR6s in there. See how it worked with these. These are 7s. So definitely can't hurt there. Throw this thing back in there to hold everything closed. Oh wait, nothing gets in there. The other thing that was a little weird is the alternator. It seems to be out of line with everything. So I'm gonna have to do a little inline figuring. Because it kind of, let's grab the camera here. You can pretty much see that the edge of the belt is running off the main pulley. So I'm thinking, like after looking at how everything's lined up in here, we can maybe see, oh, it's hard to see, but I'm thinking the alternator is out just a little bit, so I'll just have to carve a little more off of the spacers that I have and then fit that up a little bit better. That way we can get the belt to hook on there better. And then the other one is down here. Our crossover pipe is way too low and we are hitting it on everything. So I'm going to come in over here on the side. See if you can see my hand in here. So we're going to try to tilt it back just a little bit more, back down where the alternator's at. You can see that there. And see if we can get it on the other side of our sway bar. That way we can shorten it up an inch or so and we'll have that set pretty good. Then the other thing of concern was I was starting to get a leak from the transmission. So I don't know what exactly that was doing. It could just be the vent tube could have been slightly messed up, or maybe we've got a loose bolt or something up on the shift tower. But that's not the best, but anyways. And so the next thing is my alternator controller doesn't seem to be controlling anymore. So anyways, I'm kind of wondering if our little controller guy over here, if it revolted against the massive amounts of heat that was just billowing through this thing. So I guess let's just start making a list here. Alright, so here's our to-do list. Let's do some spark plugs. We need crossover redone. Let's look at our alternator spacer and our alt controller. And then our trans leak. And then we need some heat shields. So we're gonna have to find a bunch of heat mat or something along the lines of that. Try to insulate the inside of the car. And because since we don't have, even if we had air conditioning, that wouldn't have done a darn bit of good. Because there was just a massive amount of heat blasting through. So that's should be our list. Let's go through it again. Change out some spark plugs. Change our crossover. Change the alternator spacing, alternator controller, take a look at that, figure out where that trans leak is coming from, and shield from heat. I'm thinking that's pretty much the list. So, our oil catch cans were doing really well. There's only a minor leak where I didn't seal the drain plug, but there was not even a tablespoon in there, so it's doing good. But just the fact that there was some oil in there means that it's doing its job as well, so that's a win in both sides. And it also means we don't have mass amounts of blow by. So I guess that is that. Now, that should be enough to get us back into operation. And then what we need to start looking at is future upgrades to put it in its final form. And that means we definitely need a wing for it. A front splitter, and we need to play around with some carbon fiber and mold making so we can make some windshield surrounds that we can just rivet straight onto the car. So that way we can keep them on at whatever speed we're going and don't have to worry about losing that thing. So, after it's all said and done, we'll have a wang, a splitter, windshield surround. I want a trans cooler. Doesn't have to be something really huge. Want to get that on there. Want to get a fan put on the fuel cooler. Because the little cooler that I have under there is great and all, but if it's blazingly hot and you have the heat from the asphalt, you're never going to cool anything off. So I want to get a little fan on there, just some little 12 volt computer fan that I've got laying around. We can just weasel on up in there. I think I've got a couple little mini server fans that should be able to blow some serious cooling. Let's see, if we get a trans cooler, we need a pump for that. And if we're already in there, let's put a diff cooler in there too. Those were things that were in the original plan because this isn't exactly a drag car because it's going to go road course racing. But that's something for maybe next year. Another thing I figured out in the whole driving this thing 400 miles, and that is, I don't think I want to drive this thing 400 miles. So, we're going to need to figure out some way to bring this to events, because Ice Cream Cruise was a fun event to go to, but I was just so beat up by the ride from this thing for 3 hours, one direction, that it kind of sucked. So maybe we need a vehicle that we can rig up with air conditioning and be able to drag this thing where it needs to go, and so on and so forth. So, when I was thinking about what could be made, there is one vehicle that was always popping into my mind that would be perfect for that. And looky what we have here. That just might work. So essentially this is a Olsen Grumman P30 step van. So what we would need to do is, this was a model that had the small rear doors. If we put some posts out here and then make it so we can open full width, we've got, I think it's, take a quick little gander. Well, the Hillbilly measuring tape says that's about almost 7 foot wide. So that's plenty of room for Crossfire to fit in there. And it's, was it something like 20 some feet in the middle of it? So that's plenty of room there as well. So once we make the doors wider, we get rid of this notched weird corner bumpers and mount some ramps on there. And I'm thinking if we do something fun like a 4-link rear suspension on airbags, we're talking like maybe $400 worth of parts and stuff. Maybe more if we want to do some automatic load leveling or something. But maybe $500 we can get air suspension back here, or we can lay that back bumper right on the ground. That will decrease our angle for pulling it in. And then we could even mount like a small bunk in that thing as well, because it's pretty spacious in there. So that's the thought process that I'm going to be going through for the next couple months, and we'll probably see if we can hit that winter. And then at some point in time, we gotta address this elephant in the room. My original project from early 2000s that I finished, got everything working and running, then 200 miles later it annihilated the cam, and I've put it in the naughty corner for quite some time. So we'll have to revisit that real soon as well. So that will be the fun there. And this white truck needs a transmission rebuild. So we'll be doing a 4L80E trans rebuild, and we'll probably need to put a different radiator in there. I'm thinking just get like a massive radiator for it, shove that in there, and we'll be sitting pretty good. Maybe we'll throw some air conditioning in that too, because why not? Well, anyways, this is probably going to be enough for today. We're just kind of analyzing what we need to do to make a plan go forward. So I'll have to get some spark plugs, and hopefully by then my shoulder that I destroyed a week ago will be good to go, and we can start tackling all these things and hopefully get her done pretty quick. Like, there might be a decent chance that we can get 90% of those all knocked off in the next video. So probably the more time intensive ones are going to be getting the crossover redone, chasing down where that transmission leak is, and then putting some heat shielding around this thing. So we'll get that looked at, and we'll see you again some other time. And hopefully it won't be 2 weeks in between videos. We'll also need to start playing with some carbon fiber, so that'll be fun. But anyways, you got an idea what we're doing in the future and what we're doing right now, so make sure you subscribe and come back again next time.